So I'm gonna guess the audio is coming through. Let me know in the chat if it's funky or something. I've been having issues lately with my audio, but it looks like you know it's going through. But if it's otherwise, let me know, and also let me know where are you joining from in the chat. And yeah, today we covered introduction to DevOps the other day, and this is the Microsoft Ignite Cloud Developer Challenge that we have been doing, right? I said I was going to stream and hopefully earn a voucher to sit this exam. There are 36 modules. I think what I'm going to do is, because there are 36 modules, there's like, it'll be hard to do them by November 9 if I stream each one of them. What I'll do is basically go through modules beforehand and then discuss some of the key things in that module, and that way we people on the stream also save time, and we can only go through the things that I've found like were key to the Azure DevOps exam here, or the challenge, and also we can get more covered during the stream. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. But yeah, so I kind of went through the choosing the right project, which is the second module, and I'll go over some key things here. So we can see over the learning objectives, which is understand different projects and systems to guide the journey, right? So we'll see what are some kind of projects. They have categorized it into few categories here, as you can see: explore greenfield and brownfield project. We'll learn about that. And then you also have, select a project to start the DevOps transformation, identify groups to minimize initial resistance, and identify project metrics and key performance indicators, also known as KPIs. So prerequisite is understanding of what DevOps is and its concept. That's what we did in the introduction to DevOps, right? So let's move along and figure out what, greenfield and brownfield projects are. So the term greenfield and brownfield have their origins in residential and industrial building projects. Okay, so this comes from, buildings and real estate stuff. Because the greenfield project is one done on a greenfield, which means nothing is developed, right? It's basically grass, and you want to develop like on a plain field, right? And a brownfield project is done on the used ground for other purposes. So you might already have, some kind of, building monument on top of which you will be building. Because of the land use that has once occurred, there could be challenges reusing the land. So let's take an example of there is already a building, right? It has 10 floors, and the most optimal solution would be to add one more floor, right? You don't want to, tear it down and then start from scratch. In some cases, that might be needed, right? So yeah, that's what greenfield and brownfield projects are, and that's how, that's is their origin of the term itself. The same terms are routinely applied to software projects and commonly describe DevOps project. So in the DevOps space, the greenfield would be one that doesn't have, an existing code base, right? So you're working on a project from scratch. You have to decide frameworks, and you have to decide, there is no existing code base, no existing team dynamics or politics, right? Possibly no current rigid process. So, you have the opportunity to decide Git workflow, how pipelines would work, which framework to choose, which tools you will be choosing. So all that freedom comes with the greenfield projects. A common misconception is that DevOps is only for greenfield projects and suits startups best. However, DevOps can also succeed with brownfield projects. And during my time as a DevOps engineer, we were working with brownfield projects mostly. The beauty of these projects is that there's often a large gap between customer expectations and delivery, right? So we'll move to the third unit, which says decide when to use greenfield and brownfield projects. And I'll go over the definitions here real quick. Let me post something in the chat. And also make sure I'm audible. Okay, so I just checked the stream on my phone and I am audible. So when starting a DevOps transformation, you might need to choose, right, which project you're working on. And as we worked on some key differences, right? So greenfield being you have no existing code base, you don't have any existing team dynamics processes in place. So it gives you a lot more freedom. So a greenfield project will always appear to be more accessible as a starting point, right? A blank slate offers the chance to implement everything the way that you want, right? So suppose current IT policies do not allow the use of cloud-based infrastructure. In that case, the project might be qualified for entirely new applications. It's designed for the environment from scratch. So that is one example. Brownfield projects, there is the baggage of existing code base. There are existing teams, right? And then a significant amount of technical depth, right? So, but they still can be ideal, as projects for DevOps transformation. When your teams spend large percentage of their time just maintaining existing brownfield applications, you have limited ability to work on new code. It is essential to find a way to reduce that time and to make software release less risky. A DevOps transformation can provide that, right? And that's what we have learned so far about DevOps. The system is often crucial for organizations. It might also be easier to gain more robust management buy-in for these projects because of the potential benefits delivered. And that's right. That's why when I was a DevOps engineer, we mostly worked on brownfield projects because, there are already existing pain points which bring in a lot of business value to the company. And we would, make this type of transformation on those brownfield projects rather than, starting a new project from scratch, which also might be good to have, but that's the call, right? One thing is good to have, and then the other thing is kind of, will bring more value to the business. So you have to make that decision. So take the first step. Eventually, the goal will be to evolve your entire organization, right? But we have to take the first step. So we start with one project. So decide when to use systems of record versus system of engagement. So we will go over what system of record is. When selecting systems as candidates for starting a DevOps transformation, it's necessary to consider the types of systems, right? So some researchers suggest that organizations often use bimodal IT, a practice of managing two separate coherent modes of IT delivery. One focused on stability and predictability, and the other one on agility. So systems of record, systems that provide the truth about data elements, are often called systems of record. These systems have historically evolved slowly and carefully. It is crucial that a banking system accurately reflects your bank balance. So think of, banks, huge government organizations, right? System of record emphasize accuracy and security because you cannot mess someone's bank balance, right? So consider that. Systems of engagement. So many organizations have other systems that are more exploratory. These often use experimentation, right? And I would say in my case, it was kind of systems of engagement, right? There is perception that DevOps suits systems of engagement more than systems of record. This is a perception, right? The lessons from high-performing companies show that this is not the case. Sometimes the criticality of doing things right with a system of record is an excuse for not implementing DevOps. So you would see sometimes engineer making this excuse of, using, because we are with systems of record, so we don't want, we can't have DevOps transformation. Both types of systems are great. At the time, it might be easier to start with a system of engagement, just like, greenfield and brownfield projects when first beginning DevOps transformation. DevOps practices apply to both types of systems. The most significant outcomes often come from transforming systems of record. So you'll see more significant outcomes often from, the systems of records. And then we identify groups to minimize initial resistance. So here, like in this unit, they have categorized users into 3 general buckets, right? One is canary, early adopters, and users. So canary users voluntarily test bleeding edge features as soon as they're available. Think of it as, think of it as tech Twitter. So as soon as a new framework comes in for JavaScript, or, let's say Kubernetes came in, any of the new revolutionary bleeding edge feature, as soon as they're available, we start seeing tweets from engineers about, them voluntarily testing it and then posting some kind of review either on YouTube or a Twitter thread, right? So think of canary as those. Early adopters who voluntarily preview releases consider more refined than the code that exposes canary users. Okay. So users who consume the products after passing through canary and early adopters. So that is, the 3 general buckets that you categorize into. It's essential to find the staff members keen to see new features as soon as they're available and highly tolerant of issues when choosing canary. Early adopters have similar characteristics to the canaries. They often have work requirements that make them less tolerant of issues and interruptions to work. while development and IT operations staff might generally be less conservative than users. The staff will also range from traditional to early adopters and other happy to work at the innovation edge. I think I would fall under either these when I was working, or maybe even users and early adopters, a middle ground between those two, right? So, ideal target improvements. It's also important to roll out changes incrementally. You know, we have seen that in continuous integration and continuous deployment too. When we were learning about DevOps, is we those principles exist because it makes us easy to have incremental changes in smaller chunks, right? Large scale systems rolled out all at once have abysmal record of success. Most fail no matter how much support management has provided. I would agree. If there are, major feature release, so let's say we went from 1.0 to 1.5 and there are like 0.4 minor releases that were like all, staggered together, and we decided to release it all at once, there are chances there are some breaking changes due to incompatibility between different services, or things go wrong. So yeah, it's suggested that we target improvements in incremental process. It allows constant learning from rapid feedback. We have seen that right in the first module, and recovering from mistakes quickly. And now we'll go to the next unit, which is identify project metrics and key performance indicators, or known as KPIs. So we spoke earlier about the importance of shared goals, right? It was also agreed upon by team members that the goals needed to be specific, measurable, and time-bound. It is essential to establish and agree upon appropriate metrics and KPIs to ensure that the goals that we are writing down or telling other stakeholders are measurable. While there is no specific list of metrics and KPIs that apply to all DevOps projects, the following are commonly used. Faster outcomes. Okay. That includes deployment frequency, deployment speed, deployment size, and lead time. Lead time means how long does it take from the creation of work item until it's completed. The next one being efficiency. So server to admin ratio. Are the projects reducing the number of administrators required for a given number of servers? Staff member to customer ratio. Is it possible for fewer staff members to serve a given number of customers? Application usage. How busy is the application? And application performance. Is the application performance improving or dropping? And then we come to the third one, which is quality and security. So deployment failure rates, right? Application failure rates, mean time to recover, bug report rates, test pass rates, defect escape rate, which means what percentage of defects are being found in production, like after QA and testing has been done. Availability, what percentage of time is the application truly available? Service level agreement achievement, if we are meeting the achievement of the SLAs that we have defined. And mean time to detection. So if there is a failure, were we able to detect, like how much time it took for us to detect? So we'll take a mean of that. The last, culture. So employee morale. Are employees happy with the transformation that we are doing with these DevOps principles, right? Where is the organization heading? So are employees happy with that? Are they still willing to respond to further changes? This metric can be challenging to measure, but is often done by periodic anonymous employee surveys. We did those. Retention rates. Is the organization losing staff, right? So those are for the culture. And that brings us to knowledge check for, the second module. And we will go through this quiz here. In which of the following choices would you find large amounts of technical debt? Bluefield, I think that's a made up because we only studied about greenfield and brownfield, and we saw that brownfield means there is already existing code bases and technical debt. So I'll go with brownfield here. Which of the following choices would a system that manages inventory in a warehouse be considered? System of record or system of engagement or system of history. Again, I think system of history is just, we didn't read about that. I would say system of record since, it's inventory. And which of the following choices are the categorized user group most adopted in continuous delivery? We only learned about canaries, early adopters, and users. So, both of the other options are, I don't know if they're made up, but we didn't study about it in the module. So let's see if we are right. So all of the 3 questions were right, or answers. Coming to summary, so understand what DevOps is and steps to accomplish it, identify teams to implement the process, plan for the transformation with shared goals and timelines, plan and define timelines for goals. Awesome. So we're done with 2 modules. And if I refresh it, it should say 100% completed. Okay. So we have 36, which means we are still left with 34. And that's why I'm saying, like, instead of going through the entire module, what I want to do is I'll go through it entirely and, make note of key things that I feel like should be mentioned on the stream here. And that way we can cover, multiple modules in single stream, right? Let's see what is describing team structure here. So this module explores agile development practices and helps to define and to configure teams and tools for collaboration. Okay. Learning objectives. By the end of this module, you'll be able to understand agile practices and principles of agile development. Create a team and agile organization structure, identify ideal DevOps team members, and select and configure tools for collaboration. Okay. Learning objectives, we went through that. Prerequisite, so it needs us to understand what the other 2 modules that we went through, right? So we'll go over these. I don't know if I want to do it in the next stream because I have a volleyball game at 7:30 and it's almost 6:50 right now. I don't know if I would have time to go over the entire module here. But yeah, what else? And if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. It's an open forum. You can also consider this as a Q&A stream, right? I did do a video today. So I did release a video this morning. And let me go to my channel here. Yeah, so the GitHub field day vlog. So there was a GitHub field day that happened in Toronto on October 1st. I made a vlog for that. It just took me some time to edit it, but you can watch the vlog and you'll see why it took some time to edit it. I have been planning these streams, so it took some time, and then I did this last week. So crypto SMS alerts with Twilio and Python. So go check it out. I think it's a good project, if you want to have some experience working with APIs and Python. But I have some more projects that I'll be uploading to YouTube, including the DevOps focus. So you'll see GitHub Actions being utilized and some other tooling around Azure for Azure DevOps that I want to cover because of these streams, and it'll help me prepare for the AZ400. So yeah, check it out. And I know I teased a little bit of the DevOps guide in the last stream. So this is the guide right now. It has 6 phases, but I'm adding some more stuff, making it more streamlined, giving it more structure. And it's open source on GitHub, so feel free to, if you have any feedback or you want to contribute, open up a PR, right? Open up an issue if you feel like there's something that can be added. Right now I'm trying to add a structure, so what are some prerequisites, what is like kind of a timeline. But yeah, you can see here is CI/CD. Second is version control system. You have infrastructure as code, configuration management, containerization, and monitoring and observability. And then you have projects. Again, this is available on GitHub. If you go to my GitHub account, you can find it there. I think I have pinned this project now. So yeah, go check it out. I think it's I'm trying to make it more, make it better, but I think it'll help you, with your DevOps journey. So yeah, go check it out. I think it's a good project. But yeah, that is also one of the projects that I'm working on continuously. And apart from that, as I said, expect some streams around Azure DevOps, and GitHub Actions, which I think will prepare me well for the exam, but also, is good for any of you who are looking for a DevOps project. But yeah, I think that's it for the today's stream. I know it was a short one, but as I said, I have a volleyball game at 7:30 and it's 6:55 now, so I have to pack my gear or like shoes and stuff. And it's also really cold today. It's like 5 degrees Celsius today, so I have to dress up, which I hate. That's why I hate winters. And we are 3% complete with our challenge, so we'll keep doing the challenge. But yeah, it was nice hanging out, and thank you for anyone who joined this live. I'll see you in the next stream. Peace.